One thing he said is we can't watch the scoreboard, we've just got to keep playing.
Thanks, Jennifer. And how big psychologically was that interception, especially on first down when you were in field goal range for a young guy like Stafford trying to establish himself?
Well, that's exactly what we talked about with the coaches last night, is him understanding the situation, knowing they were already in field goal range. He didn't need to force that ball.
Here he gets a fresh set of downs at 1st and 10. Kevin Smith, he's been the workhorse on the ground and has some running room. It's a couple of yards. Darren Sharper's big interception kept the Lions from adding any points there. A check of the first half numbers, and the Saints dominating passing yardage. A couple of turnovers for New Orleans. The Reggie Bush fumble. Time of possession favoring the Lions.
That's amazing when you see they've only got 84 yards of offense and they favorite time of possession as lopsided as they do.
Check the clock. Second down. Stafford, quick pass. It's low, and he hung on to it. Calvin Johnson near the 40. No, he did not. For a big target, looks like we have a Saints player injured. For a big target at 6'5", those low throws have to be difficult, even for a guy like Johnson, who is so athletic.
You know, it is. It's a long way for him to go down there, especially a guy as big as Calvin is. Calvin's you know, he's 236 pounds. So for him to be able to get down there that low, he does have the athleticism. He's talked about being an elite player. He wants to be an elite receiver. But this is just a little too hard for him to come up with. You can see not only is it low, but it came in there kind of hot, came in there a little fast, and he did a good job trying to go after it, but
incomplete. Tracy Porter, the injured player for the Saints, will continue here in the third quarter.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Southwest Airlines is ready when you are. Go to southwest.com, grab your bag, it's on. By State Farm, to us, nothing's more important than being there. By AT&T, your world delivered. And by the all-new Taurus from Ford. Drive one.
Tracy Porter limps off for the Saints. In fact, Sean Payton said these are the best set of corners he's had since he's been in New Orleans. Jabari Greer added at the other spot. And Darren Sharper added at the safety position with the interception in the second quarter. So a third down play for Matthew Stafford. Saints threatening the blitz. Extra pressure. He's got time. That's complete for a first down and plenty of running room. That's Calvin Johnson. 6'5", and Calvin Johnson has a Lions touchdown. Nope, he stepped out of bounds. The official is pointing to a spot inside the 5. One official gave the signal that it was a touchdown.
Calvin Johnson here, they go right after Tracy Porter's replacement, rookie first-round pick. Malcolm Jenkins is one-on-one with Calvin Johnson. Calvin does a dig route to the inside. Malcolm goes for the tackle. He can't wrap up the big 236-pound receiver, and to the house he goes.
So one official pointing to an area where he may have stepped out, but we're going to wait and see. 64 yards is what the play covered. Looked to me like he avoided stepping out of bounds. We have a timeout. Jim Schwartz is upset. He's saying, oh, wait a minute. Are you saying he's out of bounds, or you're saying it's a touchdown? I don't want to use a timeout and waste it here. I'm interpreting all this from up here.
I would say he's a little hot. He's a little hot.
Well,
right
because
there.
I got it.
And rightfully so, because the play clock is running. The 40-second clock is running.
One official showed signal touchdown. The other official pointed as if he went out of bounds. He's clearly.
Detroit will not be charged with a team timeout. There was a delay getting the ball set ready for play. First down.
I'd be surprised they don't challenge that.
To me, that looked like a touchdown.
It did. And here comes the red flag. So they must have thought on the replay as well.
Whether you have 7 cameras or 17, that looks like a touchdown. The first official challenge from Jim Schwartz.
Looks like you can see Green between his foot and that white sideline.
And Trent Green, you would know about that. I thought I was working with Shecky Green or Tom Green. Instead, we got Trent Green, the former quarterback, always rooting for that touchdown, no matter what.
And if you watched the Ohio State game last night, you had Cornelius Green. They showed some highlights from the former Buckeye quarterback. So
yeah,
we'll just keep rolling on that theme.
Matt Barkley, talk about a freshman, a late drive, helping his team win. And I think the Lions were hoping, as Matthew Stafford last night was very calm, said he'd watch his old Georgia Bulldogs, a little college football, hoping that he could bring that kind of opportunity to Detroit. And if they get the touchdown here with an extra point, they're back to within 11.
Well, I thought it was a great call on the Lions' part to go after Malcolm Jenkins right out of the bat. You go off. A lot of times you hear coordinators and coaches talk about that. If there's an injury, I want to know right away because I want to go after that guy right away. And even though Malcolm Jenkins is a first-round pick, he has had some plays on special teams. You've got a guy like Calvin Johnson one-on-one. You take that matchup and good things happen.
The official's right there, but it clearly, and you and I were down on the field beforehand, it's a clear between the green and the white. It's not as if this is that next turf. It doesn't overlap.
Right.
So there's a distinguishing mark there.
The ruling on the field as the receiver stepped out after the completion at the 3-yard line. Detroit is not challenging the play because we would not be able to award a score on that play. First down.
I don't know if that even made a lot of sense.
Well, Art McNally is here in the replay booth. See the official right there called it out of bounds. It's not a reviewable play in terms of a challenge because it was an out of bounds call. It still looked like he reached the end zone. On first down. Hand off to Kevin Smith. So there's no timeout loss for the Lions, but they don't get the 6 on the big play to Calvin Johnson.
And not to go back on the play, but that's going to be one of those things that the rules committee goes over again in the offseason to get that rule because that it seemed pretty clear that he didn't step out of bounds.
You know, scoring plays are reviewable, somebody breaking the plane, but an out-of-bounds sideline call, it's something maybe they ought to consider reviewing. At least that's what the Lions think. Second and goal. Jerome Felton is in. Calvin Johnson gets behind him in the backfield. Felton gets hit hard. He's kept out of the end zone. Well, for the Saints, they take advantage of the break if they force Detroit into a field goal. It's third down here.
That's got to be a victory for the Saints, and one that the Lions are going to argue that they were in the first place with Calvin Johnson. But you've got to let that go. You've got to move on, and you've got to come forward. But that was a nice tackle by Scott Vegeta, filling the hole there. Collision right at the 2-yard line, and Scott did a good job of wrapping him up.
How much is that interception the last time Stafford was down here lingering in the back of his head? On third down and goal. To the end zone, incomplete.
Late flag, and it looks like they're going to get a pass interference against Calvin Johnson, even though I think Matthew maybe forced that ball a little bit because there's two defenders there.
So who's the call on? Double coverage. Overthrown. Sometimes you say, is it catchable? With Calvin Johnson, everything's catchable.
That's going to be the argument.
Now Sean Payton is hot. Calming down. He's got the lead. He's at home. All right, the crowd chanting unfavorable things for Mike Carey.
After the play was over, personal foul, defense number 42, hitting the defensive receiver in the head with a forearm. Half the distance to the goal, automatic. First down.
So the 13-year veteran Darren Sharper gets called. Some might see that as a makeup call. I'm just thinking out loud.
You know, I didn't really see it, but I know that's one of the points of emphasis this year is defenseless receivers and blows to the head or neck area.
This is not a reviewable play. Maybe at the very end of the play, but it's a fresh set of downs for Matthew Stafford. Kevin Smith, nothing. Jonathan Vilma made the stop, and Cedric Ellis came out with the football.
I tell you right now, they're marking the play down because forward progress had stopped. You can see the officials marking the ball down. Forward progress had stopped, but a late flag came in. So I wonder if one of the Lion players didn't go up and have a few choice words to the officials about that play being down, but a late flag did come in.
We're going to have a Mardi Gras breakout here in a moment. A series of controversial plays for Mike Carey and his crew.
The ruling on the field is that the runner's forward progress was stopped before the ball came out. It's a second down. After the play was over, personal foul, defense number 94, unnecessary roughness, half the distance to the goal, automatic, first down.
So the call is on Charles Grant. He and Will Smith weren't even sure they were going to play in this game with that suspension lingering. The Lions, 4 new downs.
The Lions staff immediately burst off the sidelines when the Saints were returning that ball, and they were going to challenge the play even if it wasn't reviewed, because they were screaming from the get-go that the forward progress had been stopped.
Sean Payton discussing things with Mike Carey, but the bottom line is he's inside the 1-yard line. The Lions now have a 1st and goal. What are the chances we're going to see a pass play here?
Well, I think the fact that they've tried pounding it in every time, we're gonna see another pound on 1st down. But this would be an opportunity to set up a play action, kind of like what Drew Brees did on his last touchdown pass, or one of his previous touchdown pass, where he faked the ISO up the middle and got Shockey in the back of the end zone.
Let's look at that fumble. The forward progress stopped, and that's not reviewable. What Charles Grant do here? Flag came out. That was Will Smith who went by the Lions defender.
You know, was it a 15-yard penalty? No, I don't think so. But the fact that he did it with an official standing 3 yards away.
The runner's forward progress was stopped. That is not a reviewable play.
We made
First
that.
down.
Thanks, Mike. We made that clear. And Mike Carey trying to get this thing moving here. And all Jim Schwartz wants is a touchdown. And Matthew Stafford says, how many chances do you get? I like this NFL. Kevin Smith in the backfield. Stafford keeps it. Touchdown, Stafford.
He crosses the plane, but he takes a shot.
Let's hope they don't review it. Here comes the kick. Lions want to kick this ball in a hurry.
People are going to ask why they have the replay system when everything comes up. You can't replay it.
Well, we have a list from Mike Pereira of all plays reviewable. As Stafford smothered back by Vilma, but at that point the signal had been given, his 1st NFL touchdown, and for Matthew Stafford it comes on a run, not a throw. Although it should have come on a throw to Calvin Johnson, according to the Lions. So Hansen with an extra point gets it through, and the Lions, who once trailed 14-0 and battled back, now trail 28-17. But the Saint offense, with a chorus of boos cascading, gets the ball. It's a 28-17 lead. Saints over the Lions. Matthew Stafford getting opportunities after penalties. Thought he had that touchdown pass, and it's not reviewable, that Calvin Johnson play, unless it relates to a 1st down or crossing the goal line. And in that particular play, it was an out-of-bounds call, not at the goal line, before the goal line. Quick pass to Heath Evans, who gets